Welcome, everybody. My name is Aida Farhat, and I'm the host of the Cosmic Ruh podcast. Today, I have my special guest, who I'm super excited to have you, Tina Bird. Welcome, Tina. Tina's in the UK, and thank you for joining me because your story is absolutely fascinating. Yes.
Thank you. Hello, Aida. It's great to join you from Southampton here in the UK. And yeah, it's been a hard few years, and you got to get it out. So yeah, it's good to spread the word, and this subject needs looking at more.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you have had, so you and I were talking prior to going live, and do you want to share a little bit about that, and then we'll get into your story? Well, actually, I'm sorry, I'm a little ahead of myself. I'm going to give you a proper introduction, if that's okay. I'd like to share your bio. Tina Bird is an internationally renowned author, abduction specialist, and lifelong experience with over 54 years of firsthand encounters. She holds a GSAT in aviation from Southampton Airport and a diploma in nursing and midwifery from Itchen in Southampton. I don't know if I said that right. For over a decade, Tina served as a clinical practitioner in multidimensional treatment foster care, a government human behavior modification program operating between the UK and Oregon in partnership with the Maudsley Hospital in London. She is the author of Bonded: The Truth About Alien Abduction, and holds a diploma in ufology and investigation from the University of Excellence. With 8 years of professional experience in the field of ufology, Tina has become a respected voice on abduction phenomena. She also serves on the board for the health and safety executive at Marwell Wildlife. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied and I can barely see. I probably need stronger reading glasses, but you have an extensive, your credentials are exceptional, really. You don't see too many people with that much involvement or that much study or memory. Your memories are amazing, and what you've been able to produce as evidence is absolutely fascinating. So I did want you to, if it's okay, what we were talking about prior, can you share a little bit about what's going on in the UK, and then we'll move into your presentation, because I think the world needs to know, and obviously it's not hitting the news here in America.
So thank you, Ida. So the last few days or weeks, Russia has been escalating its war with the Ukraine. Because we're at an island in the UK, we just sit across from Europe. But Russia has been predominantly sending drones into other countries, all across the Russian and Ukraine border, like to Belarus, Latvia, near Germany, and into Norway. It's also had submarines come into British waters at the top. Jet fighters have been launched. Actually, I believe a Typhoon was launched last week. And today, one of the papers has said that we need to prepare 3 to 5 days worth of supplies for World War III, because Russia has said in the event that the war escalates between Europe and Russia, I think the UK was going to be one of the first places they bombed because they perceived us to be a bigger threat. Norway has taken the same stance. They've been on alert since last year. Poland has since closed their border. And again, they've moved people away from their border. It's very escalated, very high tension situation in Europe, all across the German and borders leading to Russia and the Ukraine. Along the north-east is high tensions. NATO has since gone in with many other countries and set up bases along the borders, which have been closed. And last week there was high tensions, as I think it was between 20 and 50 drones entered a airspace that was not Russian, and it was not part of the war. It was a deliberate act, and they've since sent other fighters into Norway and other countries daily, and drones. So they've been antagonising other countries, and Europe said if they do it again, they will shoot them down. Obviously, that will escalate the situation to the rest of Europe involving the war in Ukraine. But yeah, NATO has put out many times over this last year that we should all be prepared for that situation.
Unbelievable that we're at. I mean, I don't really know how to respond to that. Tina, I mean, I think about all the nonsense that's going on in Palestine, right? I mean, the Palestinian people. Do you think, what are your thoughts about that? I'm just curious.
So apart from that war, the whole world seems to be erupting. I mean, we as a human race can't look after each other, for one. All we seem to do, if you were a visitor to this planet and you came along, you would just keep going. We kill each other, rape each other, murder, there's pestilence, there's food shortages, starvation, disease, and we're killing each other every day. And it's the poor everyday people that are suffering. It's just the normal people that want to get on with their lives. And it's like it's escalating all over the world. Tensions are definitely rising for a reason, whether that be technology, which is probably not a good thing for mankind. Here in the UK, we've had riots for weeks, asylum seekers, hotels. Now it was announced that you have to take ID with you to go shopping. Food prices have escalated. Travel costs have escalated. Fuel prices are going up. And it was announced yesterday by our Prime Minister that we now have to have, everyone has to have a digital ID card online from the UK.
That is such nonsense.
So,
I mean, it's like, how do you navigate this realm, the 3D realm, right? How do you navigate in this physical realm without...
So it's getting worse. They don't want us to communicate. It's been obviously a news blanket. If it's not hit America, it's been quite aggressive here in the UK, and they have put quite a blanket over it. But I'm not sure if America are aware. You know, like landline telephones that you use.
We don't have. I haven't had a landline. I don't even think that it's even a thing
they
anymore.
Outlawed that in the UK about 2 years ago. But the problem is you can't get signal, and if there's a power cut, you've got no way of contacting anybody. So that's another thing. We do have rural countryside here in the UK. With some distance, obviously not as large as the UK, but we have a lot of people, pensioners, that don't use mobile or can't use mobile phones. And that's causing a bit of a sticky issue because we're having an intermittent signal here in the UK. And we're suffering power cuts as well. So contact, especially with other countries or even like with podcasts, has been quite hard. So, but... Well, as we said, like the Israeli war, it is escalating, and if you can't find peace or coming around with other human beings, then I don't think there's much hope for humanity. To be honest with you,
I think about these things every day, Tina. Every day, I think those of us that have some degree of awareness, right, and have had our own experiences of awakening to whatever level of conscious awareness that we are at in our lives. If you're doing any kind of shadow work, you are reminding, or at least for myself, reminding myself that the minute that I want to judge or not consider somebody else, although I'm a very loving and I'm definitely somebody that looks out for other people. I look out for my neighbors, so forth, my family the best I can if they need something. But the values of the human family has gone down the drain completely. Like it's hard. You know, most people are walking around in so much fear that they are restricting themselves from being able to experience something maybe a little bit more.
It's closing us. It's separating societies and individuals.
Well, sure. And I had, recently my niece said to me that she was driving past a young couple, a black and white lady and a young black man. long story short, she drove past and went to go park, and evidently this young lady thought that she drove too close to her and almost hit her, and got outraged, and they pulled a gun on my niece and her daughter. The police got involved, so forth. They said, well, we have a drone above your apartment, so we'll be able to see everything that happened. And that's in Maryland. I'm from Maryland. I live in Florida now. But it just seems like where I live, I don't see a lot of, not in the area where I'm at. I don't go looking for it, but it's just unfortunate. It really is. And, I look forward to coming over there in December, and I'm not going to get fearful. I mean, if I'm allowed to fly there, I will be there for sure. And I look forward to meeting you. But I guess now I want to get us moved on, because I'm so looking forward to hearing your story and hearing you break it down and share more details. So we'll go ahead and get that started if you're okay with that. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can. Guys, bear with me, because I'm hoping to. Okay. One. Open. We'll start with this one.
Okay, so this is a picture going back into the 1990s. I was doing a bit of nursing then. And the reason my face is blacked out because of passport identity, because it's a passport photograph. And my investigator at the time blocked out, so people couldn't take images of my eyes. What it is, I had an experience 2 nights before this, and it's like now, at the time, like now, you can't see that I have any markings on my throat, and that's what it was on the day. And I went up to the post office in Southampton at Itchen to get my passport photos done, ready for me to go on holiday. And put my money in, and waited a couple of minutes later, and these passport photos came out. Now, you couldn't see any bruising on my neck. It was the pictures obviously came out under the light. My mum freaked out in the shop, started swearing, saying, oh my God, what's happened, blah, blah, blah. So she said it's probably a fault with the machine. She had a look at my neck. There's nothing there. You couldn't see anything. So she said, right, we're going to Woolston, which is only like a mile down the road. We went to Woolworths, and we went in there, and I had my picture taken in there as well. And the same pictures came out. So again, you couldn't see anything on my throat. And she looked at that and she was like, what happened? And I'm like, I didn't like, you can't say, yeah, I had an experience yesterday, Mum, 2 days ago I was taken. So she said, right, you're not going to work, you're going to go to see a GP. So I booked an appointment. I can't remember if it was that afternoon or the next morning. And I went along to see my GP, and I put my pictures down. I had 2 sets, identical pictures like that. And these markings, and the GP, he said, how can I help you, Tina? I said, well, I went to get my passport photos done, and these have come out. And he didn't touch them. He got a pencil, and the end of the pencil, when he pushed the photographs back to me, he had a good look at them. He didn't touch the photos. He said, I can't send you to A&E on the basis of a photograph. He said, however, I can tell you that is very extensive damage. It is not choking or hanging because it's too low. Normally it's higher. And he said, only certain types of bruising comes out under different light. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you used to have a deep tissue operation and you took pictures 2 days later, you would look like that. But on the surface, you would not have no bruising. It's subsurface bruising for deep tissue. He said, I can see you've had no surgery. He said, what, mate? And he did. He looked in my eyes, my mouth, my nostrils, under my armpits, around my neck, around my chest, checked my head and ears and everything. He said, if you said that you had a really bad throat, I could send you to A&E for him to have a look. I said, no, that's fine. He said, I suggest you go back in a week's time to the same booth, take another picture, or take pictures of other parts of your bodies to see what else has happened. So he knew what was happening, but he didn't want to say it. And he pushed the pictures back to me. He said, go back. If the bruising's reduced within a week, he said, you know that you're healing. And that was it. So the next set of pictures I sent you like that, you can see the healing has reduced quite severe, quite a lot.
I don't know that I downloaded those ones, Tina, but
that's okay. So, but yeah, so that was one of the experiences I had when they'd taken me, and I call it the Travelator, like kind of episode.
Okay, well, can we do this? I know it seems kind of little all over. Can you first just share with the audience a little bit about your history? So when we do show the slides, they have some kind of understanding of who you are, what you've experienced, what has happened to Tina, and
So what happened first of all, in about 2015, 2016, me and my partner were taken. So it was a dual abduction. We were taken, and I don't remember much. I'm going to have recorded hypnotic regression, and I'm going to hopefully, I want to have a lie detector with it because the CIA suggested that, but I can't afford it here in the UK, and the money's because there's unequivocal doubt there. There's no doubt whatsoever. He said that's that's how they get positive, truthful results. So I said, yeah, I was willing to have that done.
Mm-hmm.
So 2016, I came forward, and the only reason I came forward was for medical help. Me and my partner had been taken at the time, and I do have, you'll see it when I go to do my lecture in December, that from that night, we both started to become very ill, coughing up blood, radiation burns, pains in the stomach, both losing weight. And we both went to the hospital. I went to the doctors a week apart. They sent me for endoscopy, like a camera down the throat. And the doctor said they'd seen something. They hadn't seen it before. They didn't know what it was. They took biopsies. And he said, I can't treat you for anything else. They said, but I'm going to treat you for ulcer because it's the only medication we can give you, Tina. We don't know what it is. He said, if you have any more vomiting or any more pain, come straight back. And he gave me a printout. On that printout, it gave you the exact depth within the body and where it is precision-wise. So a week later, my partner goes in with me. It's his turn. And the doctor said to me, Tina, what are you doing back? Are you having problems? I said, no, my partner. He goes, do you two live together? I said, yes. I said, my partner's having the same symptoms as me, but he's a lot worse. And he said, okay. He said, come with me. So he took my partner off and he came back. My partner came back with a identical printout to mine with, on our readings, the exact identical marks. He has the photographs of and the exact same depth inside of our body from the night we were taken. So that is irrequivocal proof.
Yeah.
Of medical.
And you've sent me those fit photos. I don't really know what I'm looking at, but we will share those slides with you guys. I know there's a couple here watching probably. Yeah.
So that, and then from that night, it got considerably worse, and then it comes to the point where they said that my partner was dying. He didn't have long, and they wasn't sure what was wrong with him. And so I reached out. I researched everything because I wasn't really, into it all. So I reached out. I found the name David Hodrin at Gary Heseltine. So I contacted Gary Heseltine. I thought he's going to think I'm a complete nut and not get back to me. Well, he did. He messaged me back the next day, said, look, Tina, I don't deal with abduction. You need to make an abduction report. I'm like, what the hell is that? So he gave me this telephone number of a gentleman called David Hodrin. He's a lead investigator for Birmingham UFO Group. And he's part of the worldwide and European, is it ISA? He's a deputy chairman. So he investigated my case and we went through it. And I said, look, I've only come forward because I want help. My partner we need physical medical help. I want to know if this has happened to anybody else and can they help us? What was the treatment and what was the survival rate? So he said, look, give me a little while, give me a couple of weeks, I'll sort something out. Well, he got back to me saying there was a gentleman in Australia. However, he had succumbed to his injuries. So so I was really kind of panicking, thought the worst, but the more I spoke to other people, the more they said, research, read books. So about 2016, 2017, they did a full investigation. I had pictures taken. I had everything taken, my statement taken. I did drawings. I provided all my photographs from over the years and everything. And he said, this is one of the biggest cases for the UK. He said, with the most evidence. He said, the difference, people say about evidence. He said, you have a lot of evidence. So I said, okay. And he started to do talks. And then he said, would he do lectures? And then when there was TV, radio interviews, Linda of Moulton Howe flew over. I've spoken to her. She interviewed me. She was a very harsh lady. She was like, bang, bang, bang on the go. And so, yeah. And then other people say, oh, well, you've just come forward for this. I'm like, at the end of the day, people say, oh, it's negative or positive. And I feel at the end of the day that the human race, like you say, with all the war and everything going on, no one is protecting abductees. There is no recourse for abductees. There is no medical treatment for abductees. There is no compensation for abductees. Abductees also hold so much other information depending on the level or type of abduction experience they've had. And there are side effects from being abducted that last lifelong. And they don't tell you that if you've been taken and you're irradiated, your pet can die from radiation poisoning, which is what happened to my dog. I love my dog. I was absolutely honest. I'll never get over that. Never. So, people don't understand. I don't have any biological children because of what's happened to me. So it robs you of being a parent, a grandparent, from having a future. It takes your humanity from you, as well as ostracizes you when you came forward. So now I speak and lecture. About what the government does and about evidence, and you'll see it in my lecture in December. So I'm more of an advocate for abduction and its outcome. But as it progressed through my investigation, it went back to one. It was triggering what they call like when you keep remembering things. It kept bringing up memories. So, but my memories in my book and my account are from what I directly remember. They're not from hypnotic regression. I directly remember these as wide awake. So they started when I was about 6 years old, and they stopped a few years ago because I'm 54 now. They stopped a few years ago. However, there are other things that do happen to me and that do continue to this day. So yeah, and as soon as I came forward in 2016, I was given an opportunity. I think about 4 years later, about 2020, just before COVID or just after, I'm not quite sure. One of the UK held an abduction meeting of all the UK's abductees that had come forward. And it was a closed room. There was quite a few science people there and things like that. And it turned out that they all agreed they were like listening to abductees' accounts and things like that. And it came to the conclusion that telepathy is kind of like a side effect of abduction. Another lady had the exact same marks and exact same depth inside her body as I did on my legs. She had very similar experiences because mine was from 2016. And then it wasn't till, so I continued to lecture and talk and gather evidence. And by then I'd spoken to Travers Walton a few times. And he said, Tina, don't go for like hypnotic regression. I did it and I regretted it. And then when I spoke to Whitley Strieber about it, he said, Tina, Whitley said the same kind of thing as to me. So I was him and about. But it wasn't till I spoke to Richard Doherty from the CIA. He said, kind of get it done, but I want to look at one Pacific event. But a lot more people became interested because I've been on what they would call different ships. Mine's not been a positive experience. So people say they're all goodness, it's light. Mine has not been a positive experience, but I've gained so much information. And it was like, they asked me if I wanted to go with them, but that meant I could never come back home. And they read your reply, your instinct or your first thought, like your instinct as an answer. They don't wait for you to reply. And it was that they told me in 2022 to 2026, there was going to be a war. And from 2026 to 2028, there would be another war. And of course, 2022 rolled around on the day and the war started, and that was recorded back in 2016. They showed me some drawings, which I drew for them, that turned up in a Russian crop circle 2 years later. The identical
one.
me. And then a year after that, they showed up in the UK in a crop circle. So that also piqued a lot of people's interest.
Well, can I ask you a question? So do you have any idea of what star nation is taking you? I mean, do you feel that these are Nordics, reptilians, Turians? I mean,
so as as a part of ufology, I only deal with abduction. I don't really deal with races. I deal with the physical side of it. And,
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I can tell you that what I've seen, like I did some little drawings. I'll find them in a second. Of the little greys, I don't know why people call them grey. They're about 2 or 3 feet tall, and they're like very extreme, like white. The other ones are a little bit taller, and so I did a little drawing. The one that knows me, there's a little one, and then they're a little bit taller. And then this thing, I saw this thing, what you call a reptilian. It looked like an aphid's head, and his neck was about 15 feet long.
Wow.
And but then I've seen these two. They were very close together, and they had like a vein in the head and one on the tummy. And I haven't really seen anything else, but the way you view it, I can only tell people what I've experienced, not what other people have experienced or what other people said. And I tell it from my point of view, how I see things. Mm-hmm. So at this abduction meeting, they said to me, "Oh, you're negative, blah, 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 and it's a positive experience in blah, blah, blah." I said, "Do you retain the horrific memories I do?" And he's like, "No." I said, "So you had a brilliant, nice entertainment." I said, "So tell me, were you taken under the guise of night, covertly taken? Were you taken from your parent as a child? Were you then subdued on a table and tortured and had bits ripped out of you? Were you then subject for them taking ovum and sperm from you and then put you back? Were you then subject to radiation to make your family sick and your pets die? Were you subjected to that?" And he's like, "No." I said, "So they gave you a written invitation and came around during the day?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, that's covert. How is that a positive thing?" And that's very negative from my point of view, and very upsetting and very concerning. So that's the place I come from.
Yeah. So I appreciate everything that you just said. I think, there's so much nonsense that goes on in the new age. I call it new age, right?
But
where everything is love and light, and if you're being contacted and you agreed to all this before you came in, and all this stuff that I don't agree with at all. And I favor more. I mean, some of it I consider. I think there are some things that we may say, okay, I want to have certain experiences in order for me to heal, grow my soul, correct maybe past life things, that choices I made, correct them in this lifetime. But no, not to the extent that what has happened. And evidently these treaties that they were given, and I don't know enough about the Eisenhower whole thing. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but evidently they were given authority to be able to abduct, supposed to be only a certain amount of people, and they completely disregarded the treaty. They didn't go by the rules and were taking people, abducting. I mean, we know children. I mean, I definitely believe that children are taken off world, used in slave races, used for sacrifice, and I have, I've
seen hundreds of people up there. I know I'm not the only one. I've seen hundreds of people up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think? The moon, Mars?
No, it was the travel incident. One of the times I was taken.
But is it just on a ship, or are they taking you to another planetary system?
They've taken me to another planet. When I said to him, a lot of people laughed. I said, "Look, they put you in a bubble to take you places," and they laughed. They laughed. People laugh. They put you in a bubble, and then I'm like, "Yeah." And then it was like being strapped to the front of a rocket. I think the other one was with me, and he took me to the place where they were taking my babies, where they were taking these eggs.
I know. I can't wait to get to that part. But go ahead.
And then another gentleman came forward about 6-7 years after I first came forward, and he said they took him in a bubble and took him to the moon or the sun. And then the CIA launched a Netflix documentary this year, and it said in there it was proven that these alien races put people. So it's proven that they put ships and beings and humans in bubbles to take them places. And they came out with that 7 years
What
after.
documentary is that? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. I'll have a look for it here. I've got it on my phone, I think. That was quite a so CIA actually admitted that.
So that's interesting, because when I was having I've had my own experiences, and you'll hear my presentation, and I look forward to hearing yours. I'm super fascinated with your story. But I will tell you, when I had a full-blown Kundalini activation, Tina, and I became aware of, it just happened, like everything was so quick. And I tried to contact I did contact the CIA, FBI, called the DEA. Nobody would help me. Literally, they would not help me. I was being monitored, targeted, house was getting broke into.
So there was 2 attempts on my partner's life to be run over. They got a van and mounted the curb, went up on a grass knoll just outside my house. I caught it on camera and tried to run him over, literally outside my house. My sister-in-law suddenly passed away last year, and when I give my talk with Kerry Cassidy, she invited to do a live show here in the UK. I got a phone call from Afghanistan saying that someone was going to come around and kill me if I did this presentation. Luckily, I knew a journalist, Ben Evelyn Jones. And Ben took a copy of the number and incident, and I said, if anything happens to me, please let the world know what's happened. And he said, yes, Tina, I got you. And he recorded everything. So I have been threatened. My family's been threatened for coming forward. Like I said, I had more interest in me since, people like pass it off. I've had more interest since the war broke out in 2022. Because they told me, there's loads of things they told me. They told me that the others will come in, they're not supposed to be here, but they do. I suppose that could be the Atlas thing. I don't know. He said they were leaving soon because the others were coming. So I'm just trying to find it now.
So many people have different ideas of what Atlas is, and it's real. I don't know if you
they want to be more concerned with this. There's another, I'm not sure if you know, but they've been announcing it here in the UK. There's another probe out there that came from Aquarius after Atlas. It's overtaken Atlas and is heading towards the Earth. It's called the Swan, and that's been on our news quite regularly here. So that not only is it,
I haven't seen or heard anything about that. I would love, if you have articles or anything, I'd love to see that. Please do send them. I'll share them out.
Yeah,
it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Well, so do you think my lab has anything to do? Do you think the military has anything to do with what's going on with you? Do you think that they're aware and allowing it, or they're taking part in it, or?
No, when I go to speak about documentaries and things like that, and I do filming and I talk to people, I lose signal. I'd like to speak to Tommy Hawksblood in Hawaii, and that goes out, and I lose signal every time he comes on. So that's why I normally go to Miles Johnson, and he does his recordings. He's made his films, his documentaries. I've been in quite a few documentaries. So this, as well, this was taken by a friend of mine, because this happens over my house all the time. So I get, that's a light, and then that's a triangle. See it glowing?
I see it. I definitely see it.
There, it transformed. These are taken over my house by another one, a lady.
Wow. Yes, I see them. This
is the same object that changes color.
Right.
There is that changes color, and there's videos. You go outside my house quite regularly, and there is a massive object. You can, if you look on my Facebook, Tina Bird's Facebook, you will see objects, loads of objects. You'll just see loads of objects.
I'm gonna look through you. I didn't get a chance, and I tried to open your I tried to open the link that you sent me for the what's it called that you sent. My mind's.
Yeah, I send people links. I send stuff all the time.
I'm sorry, Tina. You sent me your where is it? Your docs, but it won't open. When I hit it, it doesn't open. It just shows like I don't know. You can't see it because I have the thing on.
No.
It's a blank screen. There's nothing there.
So you're not the only one. So when I released my book to Amazon, I tried to put pictures in it or my photographic ID. I couldn't do it. I tried for 2 years. Amazon tried for a year. Amazon couldn't open my documents. I physically sent them over. They tried to scan them over on their machines to put them on, and they wouldn't come out. So their machines went down. So
Wow.
my book came out this large because they're supposed to put my pictures in there. And even Amazon said that they didn't know what was going on. Something had affected their computers, and they were unable to put my pictures in my book. So I keep losing signal on my phone, which is why it's taken me a bit longer, but I've got it here. So that's where I am at the moment, and it's
so. Do you want to move into? I mean, you can find the documentary and send it to me at a later time whenever you're able to, and I can share it out for people to check it out if they're interested. But do you want to? We can move to. So, I think what really grabbed my attention to your story was the loss of your children, your babies, and the medical, right? Do you want to, I mean, if I'm jumping ahead too quick, let me know if there's something else you want to share about.
I did send you a picture when those ones.
Yeah, I'm going to get it right now for you, Tina. Let me just go on here and let's remove from studio. Wait, stop screen share. Okay, let me see if I can image file. Okay. I think it's this one. It's very small for me to see, so I can't see what's there until,
So there you go. So that's it. So what happened is I had been taken, and when I'd woken up, when they take you, if you're upset, they can't subdue you enough. So, and I'm also, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, I'm O rhesus negative blood group. So I don't have antigens in my body, and I'm also allergic, like penicillin and anesthetic doesn't tend to work on me. So if they give me anesthetic, it doesn't tend to work. So what happened? They'd taken me this particular night, and I'd woken up, and my eyes were open, and there was 3 little beings next to me. There was something on I was sat up at like a 30-degree angle. The one that knows me is next to me here. There's 2 or 3 little ones here, and they're doing something in my chest. And all of a sudden, I see this blood shoot up out of my chest. And the 3 little ones. Now, the one that knows me realised I was awake and had stopped talking to the others. Now, we'll move on to that in a second. So each time you're on I call it the mist or the fog. I learned as a child, when they talk to you, you're there and you can look up and just see bright white lights. So you're subdued and you can't move. You can't move your head. You can't look about. You can only see wherever you're looking. Now, it took me a few years to realise that when one of them comes close to me, when they look over you, that's not to frighten you. They look over you to see if you can link to them, to talk to them. So as soon as they touch your eyes with theirs, then that's when you get the telepathy going. I didn't know that. To me, I call it the fog. Now, when the one that knows me gets within, if he gets within about 10, 20 feet of me, I see the fog and I can link to him. So he can be 20 feet away. Okay. Now, when the other ones are a bit closer to me, ones I don't have contact with all the time, I can understand 6 or 8 of them. They're in a huddle, like 6 or 8 of them. I can understand what they're saying. After about 8 to 16, it goes too fast. Now, they draw you to what's called the link. In the link, it's like a Wi-Fi in a room, and your brain can connect that Wi-Fi. They can hear you listening. Once you're in that Wi-Fi, once you're in that fog, it's like a 2-way mirror. They can hear and see you listening. And it goes so fast, it's like someone pulling a silver cord through your head. The information they send I couldn't understand it. But I've been in a link, and I do know that anyone that's ever been abducted is in that link. Everything they've ever done, said, shared, planet they've been to is in that link at some point. So you can go up and down it like a ladder, like forward in time or back in history, whether that's interdimensional.
Fascinating.
So
that's fascinating. So wait a minute, just so are you saying it's something similar to what a natural Akashic records, right? We know about the Akashic records. So, but this is specific for abductions. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And so you can tap into once you can, so they can block you. So another thing I learned is I've been on a few different ships because the Wi-Fi, the link is the same, but it's like a different scent. All I can liken to is like a different scent in your head on a different ship. When I was on a different ship, a larger ship, it was like a different scent. It was like the link was the same, but just supposing you went to your Auntie Pat's house and you were blindfolded, you would know that you were in your Auntie Pat's house because it smelled of like bacon rolls or bread, And then if you went to your grand's house, it smelled of strawberries. So I know when I'm on a different ship because the link is different in your head. So I was just trying to compare it. So not only is it a different link, but they can block you. They can block you from listening. They can block you from listening to a group conversation. So when they give orders or talk to each other, they can block you from specific things and not hear the whole thing. But when you're in that stream on your own, you could go anywhere, and it's so quick. Not all of them can do that. The little white greys, what they call the greys, the little white ones, they can't do that. They're like localized, but the one that knows me and the other ones, they can do that. I
find it fascinating, if you don't mind if I respond real quick, that you're mentioning Wi-Fi, because I know that when I was abducted, so they sent a handler, a guy named Rick, who was a shapeshifting reptilian without a doubt. And I know they use Wi-Fi to abduct me. And I had understood that that's the way my lab, how they take you, is through Wi-Fi. And I changed my Wi-Fi. Hello? Oh God, I thought my computer just went black completely, and I have the charger on.
They're tracking you because you're talking to me.
Yeah. It just went completely black. Just so people know that, they definitely don't like us talking about this kind of stuff, but that's okay. We're going to keep pushing through it, right? Anyways, not to get into a long thing about me, but they definitely use Wi-Fi for their, and Jinn can travel through the electricity. They love electricity, as a matter of fact.
So another thing about that, actually, there's somewhere, is I learned, because they let me walk about after like 30, 40 years. They let me walk about not very far. I was subdued on this ship. But I learned that they subdue human beings through a frequency of light and a pheromone. That's how they subdue
that. Repeat that again. Say that again. I'm sorry.
They subdue humans. Yeah. So when they paralyze you to take you, they use a certain frequency of light with a frequency of a pheromone, like a hormone, to subdue you.
Yeah.
I learned that. I learned they're not the only ones doing this. And there's certain things I did that they were frightened of. I've never seen them frightened. But I'll get back to that. I've got to talk about the picture in front of us now. But
I'll grab another picture. Go ahead, I'm listening. I'm just going to grab another picture so we can get through them all, because I think they're worth.
This actually says on there, when I had my surgery, it said my pelvis. So they spoke to me intensively. Like there was 6 doctors that came to me afterwards and wanted to know if I've ever had transplants, transfusions, no, because they said that it even says on here that I had adhesions, which were holes, needle marks. They reckon I had about 1,000 needle marks across my pelvis. Very good place to get bone marrow from. So it says dense adhesion from left to right. Dense adhesions across obliterated. It says they obliterated my pelvis. Pelvis is obliterated. So they obliterated my pelvis internally. And it wasn't until I had to have a hysterectomy. I had a 3-layer cut, 2 drains. I think it was 367 stitches, 22 staples, and an 8-hour surgery. And it's recorded. I've asked for a recording because they said when they was on top of me, they physically had to cut me in half, and there's black webbing stuck inside me to all my organs, and they were pulling
Black
this
what? Black what, Tina? I'm
like
sorry.
a black webbing, like a black membrane that was covering my organs.
Wow.
And they're still inside my body. She said, we couldn't get it all, Tina. They couldn't get it all.
What did they say it was? What was it,
They
though?
didn't know. They'd never seen it before.
Wow, Tina.
Yeah, they didn't know what it was. But they said it's a great place to take bone marrow from. So I have thousands of needle marks in my pelvis that will never heal. So it looks like someone stabbed you thousands of times across your pelvis. And this is there's my stomach there with one of the two drains in, and I had 22 staples to staple my stomach back together after. So, but this is as a result of that. But yeah, if you got your next slide, we'll carry on with that.
Sure. Wow, I'm just blown away. I'm just picturing in my mind what you're saying and imagining this black mesh in your stomach and surrounding your organs. I mean, and they can't tell you what it was? That's...
No, because here in the UK, they can take results, but they don't legally obliged by law to give you those results.
Yeah. That's nonsense. But anyways.
So I have applied for the video because they record everything in the UK.
Okay, what is the... I think this one. Is this the next one? I'm sorry. It's very small, guys. So I'm trying to see.
For this, year before last, I fell down the stairs and broke my left leg, my left foot, and snapped the bones in my left foot. When I went to have an X-ray, they had to take a few X-rays, and this was found on the. As you can see, it's been drilled. You can see the microscopic drill marks and the teeth marks. It's been drilled into the top of my foot that goes inside my bone. But as you can see, there's no external damage on the outside. You can see it. It's been blown up. You can actually see like the marks on it. They said they don't have the technology to do that. Even today, they don't have they don't have tools, not even animal tools, small enough to do that. And there's no scarring on the external tissue over the cover of the bone or the tissue or the muscle.
So do you think it's an implant?
Yes, they don't know what it is. It is metal. It's what's shown black on the X-ray.
Yeah,
they don't know what it is. I've had one removed in my hand already, and there's another one back in there about 2 days after they removed the first one.
Okay, let's see if we can get to the one. I'm not rushing you. I'm just...
No, that's okay.
Let me see. Okay, I think I need to... Hold on. I need to go back into your messenger real quick and get...
That's okay.
This one. Holy smokes. This is... Okay. And this one. And then you can tell us. Coming right back to you. There we go. All right, let's... Okay. What is this, Tina?
So this is an X-ray of my chest. This is a partial. I have the full X-ray, but I've just showed you the side. This is the right side of my chest. As you can see, there's a white-looking pearl that should not be there. That's near the interlobar artery. It's a giant mass, and it's pearl-shaped. It's been there some years. They don't know what it is. But if you look directly above that, it is my rib, above that white mass. And on that rib is a green, what you can see, a green and a black round tiny orb attached to the outside of my rib, both which are metal. The reason it shows up as green because it's been there so long, it has a membrane grown over it, and there's a black one next to it.
Okay, can I say, Tina, real quick, when I look at this right here, can you see my mouse cursor?
No.
Okay. If you look below the orb, it looks like a baby is laying there. Like that's a baby's head and arms and legs. Is that a baby?
According to the hospital, no. They don't know what it is.
It looks like a baby. That's what I thought when you sent it to me. I was like, this must be
Right.
part of the.
No, I
That's
actually
what
got
it looks
so there's
like.
two spherical round metal balls there just above it on my rib.
Yeah, I see them. But
So
this mass down, if you look all the way, guys, whoever's watching or will be watching this on YouTube or the replay, if you look at this mass all the way at the bottom of the image, it looks like a baby's facing. So do you see what I'm seeing? Do you? Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That's really amazing. Okay. And then I think we have more here. I don't know.
You probably got another X-ray picture of my left shoulder. So that's it there. So that's the two orbs. So the round circle at the top with the cross on is over the black orb that's stuck metal, like ball stuck on my rib. The green one next to it is illuminated for some reason. They could be active, sending or receiving a signal, but it's been there so long, a membrane has grown over it. Yeah.
Tina, I'm just, why do you, okay, so you're RH negative.
Yeah.
And
I didn't realise that till I had an ectopic pregnancy.
Yeah.
Because in the UK, they don't tell you your blood type. You're not entitled to know your blood type. And it wasn't until I had a ruptured ectopic pregnancy, the hospital said, why didn't you tell us you're RH negative? I'm like, I didn't even know what that was. I'm like, what do you mean RH negative? I said, there's nothing wrong with me. She said, no, your blood group. And in the UK, you don't know. They don't tell you. And I had to have a thing called anti-D injection, which is O rhesus negative stem cell that comes from bone marrow from a O rhesus negative person to save my life. Just because the cells that were attacking the baby, that had killed the baby, were now wandering around my body trying to kill me. And that's when I found out I was O rhesus negative.
So I don't know how much you know. I mean, I would imagine you probably have done some research into RH negative.
I have now, yeah.
Yeah, it's known to be a high reptilian, which I hope I'm not. I mean,
well, my mum has grown an extra finger out of her hand, and they had to cut it off twice. That grew out of her knuckle. We have pictures of that.
Okay.
And she's got an elongated bone in her neck. And my auntie Pat has 8 big holes into her stomach. Like a 13-year-old. She went to sleep one night, woke up with these like coin-sized holes all over her stomach. So it definitely runs in families. They definitely watch your biological bloodline. There's no two.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have reptilian. I mean, I have reptilians in my family, although I have O positive. But I definitely know that there are, I mean, I see them. I'm able to see people shift in front of me often. And I'm not one of, there was a time when I was very angry at the reptilians, right? Very angry.
People don't understand that as well. As an abductee, people don't understand why, why you're angry. Because I've had so much damage inside, I was unable to have any children. They said, when I had my hysterectomy, they said, Tina, you must have been in so much pain all of your life. She said, I've never known, it's horrendous. Only because I have that bit medical. If I didn't have so much wrong with me, and this is another side effect, when you're taken, I am managed as well, so anyone can look this up. There's 2. The Department of the DID, Defense Intelligence Agency, and the CIA, Department of Intelligence reference document, is this. This was released by the CIA. I'm going to bring it with me. And it's a report it was released in 2010. And it says, these are listed. So this is about anomalous acute subacute factions and human biology tissue. So this was an actual case they investigated. They investigated, I think it was 42 cases and 300 undocumented cases of just military personnel. And they found that, let me have a look, because it was published with one unpublished page, which I managed to get my hands on. And it's here. Right, there we go. So this is, the military has said this is what you get from being abducted. This is Appendix Catalogue, UFO-related human physiological effects from frequency disturbance from abduction. This was compiled from 1994 to 1996, covering a period from 1873, documented classified cases 356. These are the effects and physiological effects and disorders related to abduction only. They are apparent abductions, electrical effects on vehicles, paralysis, perceived time loss, light beam effects, eye injuries, temporary blindness, conjunctivitis, heat problems, burns, unconsciousness, marks left on the body, significant sound effects and humming, electrical shock, psychological and emotional shock, intense fear, prickling, tingling sensations, pain, sores, rashes, headaches, migraine, force field impact, nausea, vomiting, sensation of cold, disorientation, confusion, ground traces, weakness, fatigue, amnesia, apparent experience of telepathy, numbness, significant odours, voice loss, appetite loss, insomnia, perceived time suspension, dehydration, swelling of tissues. Well, we come back to that. Dizziness, excessive weight loss, levitation, sexual encounters, death, diarrhea, hair loss, nightmares, nosebleeds, ringing in the ears, weight loss, breathing problems, urinary problems, gynecological problems, implants, problems with implants, perceived teleportation, stunned, loss of taste, loss of hearing, and feeling of calm and serenity. And that's just a few these are few that the CIA have come up with after running tests. These are documented cases and medical side effects. And it all goes on to about
I'm so happy that you are able to get your stuff from proper, I mean, I don't want to call anything authority, but because they're not our authority, are they? But from these agencies that are, you know, at least giving some what's the word? My mind just went blank. Giving some
evidence,
having it documented so there's proof of showing that, and good for the CIA. I mean, over there, I don't know about over here. I mean, again, I tried to contact the CIA, the FBI during the time I was being targeted. Nobody. I actually talked to a guy at the I think he was CIA or FBI for probably about 45 minutes on the phone, and he was gaslighting me the whole time. You know, like, why would somebody want to break into your home? Why would people be following you? Why would the military jump out from the building next door to you and take pictures of you? Like, just gaslight it, you know, the whole time. My family had a tough time too. They just couldn't, they thought I was losing my mind. I'm so happy you were able to get it documented. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot more, and because it's now a historical case in the UK, because this happened like from 1971 to up to date. Other things that have happened that are said that have happened have turned out it's all true. There's one incident of this double abduction. I'm going to have hypnotic regression. It's going to be recorded. There's going to be quite a few specialists there because there's something else that was going on. I've seen things. So they took me one place. So they put me in. I don't want to be targeted again, but you know, I don't care. They can phone me up and I'll tell them the truth to their face. They put me in a bubble and they took me somewhere, and it looked like an underground laboratory, and it had white walls, and I came through the ceiling in the bubble. Sounds ridiculous. And there was this like dead buffalo on the floor, and they'd had its like leg cut off, but there was no blood on it. There was like cameras and lasers all around the ceiling, and it was on the floor, but it was like push doors. I went through the glass and the doors. They didn't move, and I went to the hallway, and there was a guy walking past, and it looked like some type of underground bunker. And his name badge, he had a white badge on. He stopped and turned around to face me. I thought, shit, can he see me? Can he see me? And his name badge said David Bue, B-U-E, on it. And I tried looking for him on Facebook and platforms at the time, nothing. But the name badge said David Bue. But there's places I've been to another planet, and then there's other things I learned. They learned like they can't put you back when you're distressed. The problem is when they when, like with me, anesthetic or whatever they use on me doesn't work fully, or they've done it so many times, I've become accustomed to it. And one particular time, they showed me, I was touching these babies things. Anyway, he was to distract me, to get me away from it. He showed me how they use their energy for the ship.
Wow.
And he showed me how they used it, and I drew it down and wrote that out.
Yeah.
I did a drawing of it. But also, this is another drawing I did of when they let me get up. I had to agree for some specific reason. This time I had to agree. They never let me walk around before. This was something special. It was definitely an experiment. They wanted us to get on with what was next. When I looked over the bed, I could see hundreds of these like black pods, and they had babies in them. Hundreds of babies. It wasn't until I got closer that I saw that they were babies. They were all my babies. There one of them guarding him. He didn't want me to be there. He was very threatened by me being there. He freaked out. And there was little. I felt like I was on the lead, and it was like it was going to be over in more ways than one if I didn't comply. And this being come out, he perceived me as a threat. Didn't want me there. And when I touched this orb, he said, "Touch it." He goes, "Look," and it was like, you know, in the 1970s, you could get a coffee cup, like a glass coffee cup, and you put coffee or water in it, and it turned black like black glass. That's exactly what these orbs look like. They look like this shiny black silvery glass. And it wasn't until I went to lean over one, I was being controlled from behind. I couldn't walk like on my own. I was being urged forward. There's like 16, 18 of them to my left. Obviously, it was an experiment. They were all like, he was blocking me from hearing what they were saying. I could hear them pushing against them in the link. And he's like, no, she's inquisitive. You know, they were definitely, it was an experiment. They were definitely trying to see what was going on and how they could get around these things. And as I touched this orb, I heard hundreds of female voices, like pipsqueak voices. They were all my voice. They were all hundreds and hundreds of little girls' voices, like little tiny little pipsqueaks. But they had their own link. They didn't know that they were talking to each other. I don't know how they didn't know. So they somehow, but I don't know if it's close proximity to each other. These babies, they look like to be 8 months along in gestation, were in these things with a red light on them. And I was panicking because I thought it was cold. And he said, no, because once you're worked up, they can't calm you down. They can't put you back. I learned that. Mm. And it is like, no, look, that little red light inside is keeping the babies warm. That's when I learned. He showed me an image. They can't make embryonic fluid to the same levels as a human. So they use artificial embryonic fluid. So they can't reproduce that to the same levels as a human. That's what he told me. And then these little girls were all, and then for a split second, it's like they're only producing females. And all of a sudden, I'm not sure if I was yanked off or they couldn't break the link. And then they all come running in my head. They were furious. All they wanted to know is how I knew they were only females or they were growing. That information.
Yeah, well, why do you think that is? I heard you say that. Why do you think they're only?
I don't know. I don't know if I knew it because they were all mine, if they were and we had a biological link. Well, I had a miscarriage once, and the night before I had a miscarriage, I had this dream, what I perceived to be a dream, and it was a baby girl. Said, "Mummy, you're hurting me. Mummy, you're hurting me," and that's when I found out I had an ectopic pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once you've been taken, you have a link. If these babies are half me and half them, don't forget. So if they talk by telepathy, I'm sure these babies were growing that way. But they didn't know how I knew. That really shocked them. It's like they were turning over. In my head, everything it was like they couldn't care if you were a liar, mass murderer, killer, a rapist. All they wanted to know is how. And I don't know. I didn't know. And they were very flummoxed to that. They did not like that one bit. And then to move me along, I saw this red thing go across the floor, and then that's when he showed me it was their technology. And then they yanked me back on the bed to get on with whatever was next. And whatever was next. So that was, I described there the pictures of the drawings. I've done what I saw inside these inside. Was they bought this baby. So they yanked me back down. I was flat on this bed. And then people said to me, how high were you off the floor? I said, well, I don't have a tape measure. You can't bend down and look. But judging from the size of these things, so judging from the size of the ones that are about 3 foot tall, I must have been about 2.5 feet off the floor, because when they lean over you, these things lean over you. So you've got to be about 2 foot off the floor. You're not very high off the floor. And I say it was a bed, it was a metal table. And the one that knows me leant over and he looked at me and he said, you're on your own for this one, kind of thing. That's the message it is. You're on your own for this type of thing. And, you know, you must remain calm, kind of thing. Do you agree? And I'm like, no. I had to sit up. I don't like being laid down. They obviously know this, because when I woke back up, I was at a 30-degree angle. So I was sat up like this. I wasn't laid back. I was sat up like that so I could see down my body. And he said, do you agree to behave? I'm like, yes. The next thing I know, one of the ones that ran in front of the pods, he perceived me as a direct threat. He didn't want me there. He didn't want to link with me. He didn't want me there. I was a direct threat to them. And to be honest with you, when a human is upset, which they're going to be in a situation like that, I could easily punch one of them or overcome them, grab them. That's why they subdue humans. So when they say, oh, grab something from the ship as proof, you can't, because they subdue you, because you could do so much damage to them. Mm-hmm. You could overcome that ship quite easily, just like that. Any human could, even a child, I should imagine, could do it. Mm. So that is why. And this thing approached the bottom of this bed that I'm on. They all stood back, and there's a good 8 to 16 of them on my left, all watching. It was an experiment. And he's coming over, holding this like rag. And when I look down myself, I've got this rag. I'm naked, but with this rag on. There's like some medical rag. It was a rag, creased up rag over me. I could see my toes. I was naked, and this thing approached the bottom of the bed. It was holding this baby like this in front of him. Well, I didn't know it was a baby. He was holding this thing in front of him, and he had his like face back like that. And he went like that to hold it and pulled this blanket, this rag back, and it was a baby. It was me. It was me as an 8-month-old baby. She had pink. She had loads of dark hair. It was me. And she must have opened her eyes for a second, and it was their eyes. Her eyes were like black. I freaked. I don't remember freaking. All I remember, I blacked out. I didn't really black out. What had happened, when I came round again, the white light was over me, and I could hear the others. It was like dead silent. He was blocking them. And I said, what's happened? He said, I was immediately perceived as a threat. They couldn't control my behaviour because it's endorphins. And I was sedated straight away because I was in danger to the baby. I frightened the baby. The baby, they read your pheromones or your thoughts as words and actions. So he said, you frightened the baby. So they took the baby away. She felt threatened. And he didn't answer no more questions. And he said, would I agree? I said, what do I need to agree to? He said, the baby wants to meet you. I said, the baby wants to meet me. It's like 8-month-old baby. This baby looked like 6 to 8-month-old baby he was holding. I said, how does a baby want to meet me? Because, do you agree? He said, this time you will not be allowed to move. You will not be allowed. You will be in place. Do you agree? And I'm like, no, you must sit me up. So he said, but do you agree? I said, yes, I agreed. And what happened then was everything went bright white light again. And then as I sat up, I was sat up stiff, and I felt someone turn my head like that. So my field of vision was down my right arm, and I could see the side. I could no longer see the front of my body. And I presume my arms were like this, and I was frozen, set up like this. And this thing approached me from holding it out. It did not.
Can you repeat that, Tina? I didn't. You froze. I didn't hear you. Say that again. Say it again. You got me captivated. I'm imagining everything you're telling me in my mind. It's like I can see it right before my eyes here.
Yeah, he said that I had to sit up to agree to, the baby wants to see me. So I agreed, and they turned my head that way, and I was frozen in that position.
Yeah.
And the one that didn't perceive me as a threat was now holding the baby sideways like this, and I had the rag down, and he held it closer to me so I could link to her, and he held his head back. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be near me. And he was literally, I think, holding a baby up under her arms or on her arms, holding her to my face. She was like this far away. And as I looked into her eyes went black. Now, it looked like she had a lens under her eyes. Like, so I've got dark brown hazel eyes. Her eyes were black. So it was like, she was me. She was identical. She was a clone of me. She was a clone of me as a baby. She was me. She was very, very pink. And as she looked at me, I stopped seeing out my eyes and I could talk to her in my head. And she, I said, why have you done this? She said, I've taken a picture. I said, what do you mean you've taken a picture? And she was talking to me in my head. She said, I've taken a picture.
The baby?
The baby, yeah.
Wow.
The baby. Now, the second you go into a link, like I said, it's a two-way mirror. As she's pouring information out of me, I'm pouring information out of her. She had all my identical memories up to like 8 months, between 8 months and 2 years before I was taken. So she, as a baby, an 8-month-old baby, had the memories of a 42-year-old woman, say.
Wow.
She was able to communicate with me. She said, I've taken a picture of memory. I said, you've taken a picture of memory? I said, can I see? And I said, what have you done that for? And she showed me the picture. She said, it's for the others. When the others wake up, they need to know, and they need to meet you to survive. And I said, why? She said, they need to know where they come from. And she showed me the picture. And the picture, I looked terrible. My hair was a mess. I looked like I'd been sweating. My face was bright red. I had clothes on. I looked like I'd been dragged for a hedge backwards. But also, this picture had my pheromone levels, my hormone levels. It had like all my blood pressure on there. It had everything. It all encapsulated in this one picture, like a digital log in one picture of the rundown of who I was. And she said that will sit in the link. And each time one of these is born or brought out and put into the link, they can go there and see where they come from you. And at that point, they can't break the link. They can't hear us. So you can have a one-to-one link and they don't know what's going on. That's the bit they don't like. They cannot control that. So, and the only way to break that link is distance. So they pulled the baby away to break the link. And I asked, where are you going to take her? What's happening to her? And they took her off and the question was never answered.
I know that so many people have come forward, women in particular I'm talking about, that have said that they've been taken for their eggs and for creating a new race of different types of beings. I mean, I remember being taken, but I believe it was definitely my lab, and they were looking inside me, but my ovaries were gone, so they weren't extracting anything.
So
teens and then my early 30s, I think, or mid 30s. Yeah, I don't believe, I mean, unless now I don't have full recall, like the stuff I do remember, I remember, but I don't try to, like, you know, if I don't remember, I just simply don't remember. But I do remember that. I remember being taken and they were looking inside me, and there was a woman at the end of the bed writing on a clipboard. And I saw a man or a being of some sort to the left of me, but it was out of phase. Like I couldn't see him clear as I could see the woman. And I woke up.
Well, this is where they took me. So when they take me, they put me in a bubble and they took me to the planet. Look, I'm not sure if they were building it or what. That's what it looked like. That one there's like a moss green planet. That's the star system they took me to. And they were putting, they said when the babies wake up, that's where they were taking the babies. They were taking them there. But it was like a long journey they took me on.
Yeah.
But they took me to the other side of what I perceived to be Jupiter, and there's this massive ship there. Oh my God, it was a quarter of the size of the planet. There it is there. That's the trajectory we went. And this thing was so big. That was like size of 27 football pitches. It was like a black submarine with a grill on it. There's things I've seen, and then
a whole world of its own.
Yep, and they
those ships. Yeah.
They must have asked me a question because when you're upset and they can't put you back, they try and calm you. And they took me to this wall. It looked like a wall. It looked like had TV screens on it, like cartoon reels. And he's going, look, focus, look. And as I looked up, it looked like a TV screen. And as I was focusing, they were zooming me into this memory. And I wasn't sure if it's inside their link. They put me inside the link. And I must have asked a question because he put me in his link, in this bubble. And next thing I know, we're shooting around. We stop. We're inside this world. And the question I believe in, I don't know it's that, is where did we come from? Because he said, watch this. And as we went in, it was like there wasn't a huge, there's like a little mountainous regions, like large hills, but no giant mountains anywhere I could see. The sky was like a peachy, beigey colour. It was so huge. But the grass was, we were hovering, I estimate to be about 12 feet off the floor. And the grass must have been 6 to 8 feet, 9 feet tall. That's what I estimated. It looked like green barley or something like that. But the grass looked weird. But as I stopped, I saw this thing in the distance. And that, as you go to look, you zoom in and you move. That's how you work these orbs. So I moved in, and it looked like a Native American naked Indian on this horse. Now, this horse looked like a cross between a Norwegian horse and a Pewarski horse, very beefy thing. We don't have anything like that here. And he said, look. And as I looked down, we went down over this ravine and underneath the water. And in the water, there was other beings, loads of other beings, and all these orbs. They looked like slightly longer and yellow. I'm not sure if that was because of the water or the orbs. But he said, watch. They're explorers. And he said, watch. So they do like volcanism. They're attracted to volcanoes and mountains, which would give accreditation to what's happening here on Earth. I found out they also like water. There's something in our water that they like. So they like our water. But there was some explosion. One of their ships got too close to the, the mantle or this underwater volcano that's caused this planet to rupture and explode. And they took everything they could. The planet exploded, and whatever it is, they brought us to Earth through something they did.
There's so much going on underneath in the oceans, under the mountains. I mean, everywhere on this planet. I don't think there's any place on this planet, inside the planet, that's not being utilized for whatever reason, whether it's a whole different civilization, inner Earth, I'm
just going to go do this before I go, but this is I used to keep a notepad by my pad. These are old notes.
Yeah.
So I used to keep a notepad next to my bed. And it says here, in the year 2022 to 2024, there would be a war. And by 2026 and 2028, there would be another one.
Yeah.
And 1359 would have to be, they kept saying, remember 1359. And then
what's 1359 stand for? What does that stand for? Do you know? Tina?
Don't know. They said it's a number I had to, I don't know. It just said I had to remember it. And then they drew this missile. They showed me this white, big missile.
Wow.
But
you've shared a lot of fascinating information today, Tina, and I know you did, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing this information. And we have about 12 minutes left. So you've done great. Is there anything that you want to say or you want people to know, and where can people find you, where they can find your books?
So yeah, I'm a great advocate for. I want the truth to come out. So the CIA released it, and the American government released it years ago. Said that yes, UFOs are true. They are real. It's objective, and where they come from now. But the other part to that, the civilian part is what about the people they locked up wrongly all those years, just for saying they've seen a UFO? They're put in mental institutions and had to endure, lost their life. Their families have gone to prison because they said they've seen UFOs or they've been abducted.
Yep.
It turns out these guys were telling the truth. Who's letting them out of prison? Who's paying them reparations? How how are they getting their life back? There's a whole different can of worms. And the other thing they haven't thought of, if these beings are anything like me, these hybrids they've made, well, they're going to want to come back to Earth to see where they're from or what's going on. Who's going to be responsible for that? What happens when they get here? They don't think of things like that. And as for me, I fight for justice. At the end of the day, it's not recognised, but now they're paying military people disability for being for effects from UFOs. So when are they going to start paying the public? It's not recognised here in the UK. They won't even investigate to pay it out. But so that's where I'm coming from, the human side of contact.
I appreciate that.
You can find me on t.a.bird@hotmail.com, which you'll see there on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm TA Bird on Facebook, and you can find my book on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. You can get it for free on Kindle Unlimited. So I did have a copy of my book here. I showed you earlier. So my book is this: The Bonded, The Truth About Alien Abduction. There is a little small one. That tells you about my account. And this is my other book as well. That one brings Prince Harry. I think that one brings Prince Harry in the top picks. And this one here is that's just a sci-fi book that I've done. That's also available on Kindle, Amazon, and Unlimited, and also on audio. You can see me speak for the last time this year with Aida here in the UK at the Disclosure event there in Wiltshire and Pusey. Please get a ticket, come see the Disclosure here in the UK. We're working on that international. And if you'd like me to come over to the States next year, please phone, book me, email me. I'm quite happy to come over. I have my new logo ready. And I'm always looking and researching into ufology. So you can find me anywhere on there.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I am the co-producer of the Full Disclosure Now conference here. I work closely with Brian Singh, who is the executive producer. We did have Miles come over for 2 years, and I had actually sent Brian a message, although he's got some business things that he had to do today, so he wasn't able, because I had invited him just to pop on and say hello and meet you. But I did mention that you are potentially a good candidate to have, at the very least, to have you do because I don't know what travel is going to be like next year. So before I can say anything, I'd love to introduce you to Brian, and at some point maybe we can do a part 2 and have Brian join us, and then he'll probably have a lot more detailed questions to ask you than I had the questions, but I didn't even get to them because I was I really was enjoying listening to you, and just I can imagine all the things that you were saying. It was like I was able to see it play out. And Tina, you're a courageous woman.
Thank you.
You know, so many people go into fear about sharing their stories. I mean, clearly not you and so many others that I absolutely commend, including myself. I mean, this is going to be the first time I'm doing a public, live presentation. It's my first time. I'm going to give it my best shot.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, but, so many more people on this planet need to understand what's going on. And I meet some that have some interest or are like at least open to hear. And then there are still so many that are just not interested, don't believe in it. I mean, they're just dream spells.
What about Giorgio Tuculos? I met him a few times from Ancient Aliens and Eric von Daniken. I've had a picture taken, and I've spoken to Eric. Sometimes he messages me. And he said to me, one of the other times I met him, he said, Tina, he said, do you believe? And I said, no. I said, I know, and that's the difference. And
well, there you go. That's right. Absolutely.
Said, I know. Belief is an act of faith. I know, and that's the difference.
Yes. Yep. I appreciate that. Well, we'll end it on that. I think that was a great, And I appreciate you for coming on, Tina. Everybody go check her out. Check her out on, send her an email. Maybe you'll contact her about having her on your show. If anybody hears this or you're interested in her books, go to her Facebook page, friend request her, send her a message.
Yeah. Got little short videos on YouTube too, so you can check them out.
Well, yeah. Is it under Tina Bird? Your YouTube?
Bird, yeah.
I'll have to look it up and subscribe. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And everybody, please subscribe to this channel. I'd appreciate your support. Share it out. And again, thank you, Tina, for joining me. And I'll be in touch for a part 2, maybe in a few months.
And I look forward to seeing you here in the UK in December.
Yes, I can't wait to meet you. Very good. Yes.
I'm going to Germany in November, so I will see you in December.
All right. Very good. You have a good day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All the best.
All right. You too.